So, we're live. We'll let people filter in. The pre-show is not quite as fun when they lose.
No, but I can very easily strangle myself with this. That's a nice benefit.
If it goes bad, yeah. Give it a minute. Let people filter in. I got my Stateside vodka soda. I've started drinking again. Maybe it's the playoffs. It's my anxiety level. I don't know. Calm's good for the morning, but the pod, I feel like I need a drink. All right. Here we go. Welcome if you're watching online, if you're watching on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. We're on Twitch for the first time. All right. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS and brought to you by Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. Get yours at bigbarker.com/Ricky and the official sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter, Stateside Vodka. Get the new vodka sodas in 4 flavors at statesidevodka.com. On today's show, the Sixers not only don't sweep, but lose Joel Embiid to injury. Got it. Makes me nauseous saying it out loud. Hackaben is employed. Mike Scott played a lot. Dwight Howard is terrible. It's just all around not a great game. So we will talk about that and as well catch up on the rest of the playoffs. The Nets take control of their series against Boston. It looks like the Hawks will beat the Knicks, and the Lakers look like they are in trouble. The show is live, as I mentioned, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch now. If you're watching on Twitch, thank you. If you're watching on YouTube and you donate using our supers, I think they're called, as people did last time, we're going to take all the donations at the end of the playoffs and give them to Providence Animal Center and Coded by Kids. We raised almost $100 on the first show, so we'd like to do $250 tonight. If you're on YouTube, you know how to do that. I don't know how to do it. And thanks to everyone we mentioned on the last pod who supported the GoFundMe for Bo and Bo's parents, Todd and Ryan. Over $60,000 raised in the last 3 days, which is just stunning. So their family says thank you, and we say thank you. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
Larry, sweetie, the man is here. Say the name. I say the name. I say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights of Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who's wearing his headband around his neck so he can strangle himself at a moment's notice. That is Mike Levin.
A very threatening ascot. Asphyxiating if I need to. And tonight I needed to. Tonight is it's a look. All right. Okay.
What are we starting with?
The Sixers lost game 4.
What?
Because the Wizards had everything to play for, and the Sixers came out looking lethargic, and then Embiid only played 1 quarter. And so everything is sort of couched in that. Like, if Embiid is out for any length of time, the season's over, and God bless everybody. You'll never hear from me again.
Right.
But hopefully this was them being cautious. It looked like a tailbone thing, but then they said it was a sore knee thing, which is even more concerning. He landed on it. It looked like the knee got caught under it a little bit before he did his fall like a tree thing. At first I thought it was just like the tailbone situation that happened with LeBron early in the season. But then he missed the rest of the game. And so that's very upsetting frustrating. I like stupidly want to blame him for trying to like dunk on the run in traffic in a 3-0 series. But like, it's basketball and he's going to play hard, and I'm stupid for thinking that. But like, also don't fucking do it, Joe. Like, it's 3-0, it's the first round. Like, chill.
Well, he seems to have, I mentioned this in the New York Process Truster chat. I mentioned, who have kindly donated to several of our causes. Somebody mentioned him doing those things, and it's like he's just athletic enough to try them, but it feels like he is one step not athletic enough to do them as much as he does, especially with his size. And it makes me nervous every time he even dunks hard. It sort of makes me nervous. He almost like he's like doesn't quite get as high as you want him to, or he's a little bit under the rim. I thought the same thing you did. So when he went to the locker room, I texted Sixers Adam and I said, all right, he's out for the rest of the game with a bruised hip. That's what I expected. Hip contusion, tailbone contusion, something like that. Sore knees, just maybe he's fine. Sore knee makes me nervous. It's just like a weird diagnosis that makes me nervous. And but like, they're playing basketball, they're going to get hurt sometimes. Hopefully he's back for Wednesday, or hopefully, if he's not back for Wednesday, they finish it off Wednesday and he's healthy for the start of the next series. There's not too much else we can say about Joel getting hurt other than he got hurt playing basketball. Sometimes you get hurt playing basketball, and we hope it's not serious, right?
Well, he also did the automatic Sixers thing of then staying in the game for longer after that play.
Of course.
Which is always very fun and always cool, and a fun thing that we have to deal with forever is that when guys get hurt, they don't leave in that play. They sort of fuck it up a little bit more for longer and then ultimately disappear and maybe never to return, which is cool. So that's frustrating. Obviously, if Embiid plays, they win this game, even if they're playing as bad as they did. But like, an alarming, especially in the third quarter, especially like just an alarming level of bad basketball was played, and everyone's to blame. I thought Doc coached an absolutely dog shit game. I thought he was like very clueless out there. This was the worst Tobias has looked offensively in a really long time. He missed a couple bunnies early, then seemed to get in his head. And then I feel like he got blocked 45 times. It was the most Evan Turner I've ever seen Tobias look. And just like repeatedly kept like head down stuff. He started distributing a little bit later. There was that great pass to Maxey off the drive. That was huge. But a really bad Tobias game. And just like forcing it with Ben in foul trouble. Tobias, it just felt like I got to do everything. And in the playoff game, even against a bad defense like the Wizards, if he's the focal point of the offense and everyone else is just like, go cook, Tobias, and Doc wasn't calling any plays. Like, there was no plays that happened in the second half. In the first half, I marked down, like, there was the Seth alley-oop to Ben off of a back screen. That was a great pass, a great design play. A couple really nice Tobias cuts that he actually missed, but I was fine with because Embiid made the pass and then Ben made a nice pass. It was like, these are good, well-run offensive plays that you could tell were schemed. And then once Embiid was gone, it was like everybody, the shot clock became like 9 seconds long, and everyone was just like, there's no playbook, just be out of breath the entire time. It was just like really, really bad. And then obviously Ben got in foul trouble and then missed a ton more foul shots, and it's frustrating, and that's just is what it is. And he also might have hurt his ankle on a plant. When he planted to make a pass to someone in the corner. It was a really bad game. I was really frustrating. I'm very frustrated. It's one game. If Embiid's healthy, it's fine. But that was a really, really frustrating game, and I'm choking myself pretty significantly here.
Well, let's go like one by one through the things, because you went through all the things, but I want to make sure we talk about all of them. Let's talk about Doc first. And you're right. It was from the beginning of the game, it was going to be an ugly game. Yep. It was. Now, I will say, you said that the Wizards had everything to play for. They looked like at the beginning of the game, to me, they were just waiting to lose. And they stayed in it a little too long. And then as soon as Embiid got hurt, they smelled blood and they played hard. Let's start with Doc. Two incredibly questionable Doc Rivers decisions to me. And I think you'll agree with both. One, starting Mike, we knew it was going to happen, but starting Mike Scott in the second half. Look, Thibel's been mostly fucking terrible all season, or all series. But start Hill or start Maxey or start like Mike Scott's not the guy to start. The second thing is Maxey was, and it's not like I'm, putting my entire faith in the entire season into a rookie, but Maxey was keeping them in the fucking game. Like it was him and Korkmaz in the fourth quarter that were scoring to keep them in the game. It was those two guys. I have no idea why 5 or 6 minutes left in the fucking game, they pulled Maxey out for Seth Curry. I just like, for a guy who doesn't really seem to have normal rotations and just sort of goes with this guy or that guy, depending on how it's feeling, how can you be watching the same game that I was watching or the same game you were watching and say, all right, let's get Maxey out of there? Like it just seems like one of those games, and we've seen them in the playoffs. Like that Rockets game against the Clippers years ago is the one that I remember, that comeback with all the Josh Smith threes, where sometimes you just see guys that don't usually do it for you or doing it for you and just sort of let it roll. I'm just sort of stunned he didn't just keep Maxey in the game at that point. It was shocking to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pro Seth, and I think that was a less of a decision of Seth is better than Maxey right now, or I believe in him. I think it was more of a decision of, well, we're going to go to Tobias anyway in the crunch time, and who would space the floor better for Tobias to do Carmelo Anthony basketball 2011? And they decided with Seth and Korkmaz, and that's why Matisse wasn't in the game either. It was yeah. I have less of an issue with Doc playing Mike. I thought Dwight was terrible.
He was terrible.
I thought he did absolutely nothing well, and got his bullshit fouls. And then they sometimes just call bullshit fouls on him. It's a mix. It's a good mix of how much of that is Dwight to blame and how much is the reputation. But of course, he earned his reputation. I didn't think Mike was horrendous. He missed threes because he's not a great stretch five option, but simply having him not be in the lane allowed for things to happen. Like even though he played terribly, and I saw people talking shit about him, he still finished with a +5. Because I think that's just generally positive, having all that space in the lane. And it's a failure on Daryl Morey to not acquire a better stretch five for minutes that Dwight is not succeeding in. And for Mike to be the best option for Doc, unless he wants to try to go to Anthony Tolliver, is frustrating. Unless you think Simmons, and with Simmons with 5 fouls, do you really want him, defending Robin Lopez post-ups and who just hit 1,000 shots tonight ridiculously. But I think the issue honestly is, I thought Matisse played a pretty good first half. I thought he did a couple nice things, and then in the third quarter, like he attacked off a loose ball and got a dunk. I like Matisse just being dunk guy and doing absorbing a little bit of like Rashawn Holmes energy around the rim at least, because he's long and physical.
He did that fucking thing on the dribble drive.
So he hits. So he was like what? He had 2 threes tonight. He was 2 for 4 at one point, and then he missed another 3 pretty badly. And then he got the rest of the night. He got open looks from 3 and hesitated.
Yep.
And the issue is not that he misses threes; it's that he hesitates. He has to go up with those. He has to. Matisse has to go up with those shots, because at that point he was 2 for 4, 2 of 5 from 3. That's fucking fine. We take those. And he passed up a 3 late to then drive into the lane and throw one of the dumbest passes I've ever seen, which was like a half, like opposite way, no look alley-oop to Dwight, which he wasn't ready for at all. And then because of that hesitancy, Doc has to have Danny covering Beal in the late game possessions because Ben has 5 fouls. I remembered like none of Ben's fouls. I have no idea how he got 5 fouls. And that's on Matisse. Like he can't, if you're not going to take those shots, you can't be in there. If you're going to miss them, that's fine. People miss all the time. Seth Curry missed a wide open 18-footer. That would have been nice to go in, but he takes it. You got to take it. And for Matisse to not take it, I think this is a good lesson early in the playoffs of, hey, if you're not going to shoot those shots, you're going to be benched. And we need you out there. We need you to shoot those shots. And that was really frustrating for me to watch.
Once again, I mentioned we will take YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter comments, Twitter questions later on in the pod. The donation thing, anyone can ask questions, but if you donate, it'll go to Providence Animal Center and coded by kids. Hey, the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. I actually had no vibe on the game tonight. It was Sixers -5.5 at the half, and I had no idea, so I didn't want to live bet it. DraftKings Sportsbook, though, easy to live bet, easy to navigate, plenty of like instructions if you haven't done this before. I know that we talk about odds all the time. There's a lot of people that have never bet before, so it's very easy to figure out for those who have. DraftKings Sportsbook right now give you the chance to turn $1 into $100 in site credits. You pick any team to win that's still in the playoffs. You bet $1. If that team wins, you win $100 in site credits. Also, great odds and different promotions all the time. Baseball, hockey, and of course, basketball playoffs. Safe, secure, reliable. You put your money in, you get it out when you want it, and you can play Sixers blackjack, which I do all the time. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code RTRS when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 in free credits. Bet on the basketball team of your choice to win their next game. And if they do, you win $100 in free credits. That's promo code RTRS for a limited time. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Wager paid out in site credits. Restrictions apply in partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. I do think if we want to take a positive from the game.
I kind of don't.
Well, I do think Furk having a good quarter.
Yeah.
And Maxey being instant offense for a minute.
Sure.
And I thought George Hill all played good games. But the Furk thing, Furk had looked pretty bad, I think, most of the series. And I think Maxey getting extended run was good and showing that he can do it in the playoffs, that sort of thing. We have to talk about the fact that fucking they did hack a Ben. It was just like, it's exactly what you don't want to happen in a close game in the playoffs is the guy that, and he doesn't even need to have the ball for them to do it because they were in the penalty, but the guy that should have the ball, at least dribbling the ball up at the end of the floor, you're terrified of him making free throws, and he made fucking half of them, and it just like, it can't happen.
I was fine with them doing that, honestly. Like when the Wizards started doing that, I wasn't like worried from this is bad for the Sixers perspective. And I think him going 3 for 6 from the line was ultimate in that because he couldn't do it under 2 minutes because then it's an intentional foul. And so they had like a minute where they just fouled every possession. I think it was good, especially it kept the Wizards out of the transition game. If Ben wasn't in foul trouble himself and he got to cover Beal, I thought it would have been like, I'm fine. Like he's struggling now, obviously. Like he needs to hit those free throws. He needs to be better than whatever 5 of 1,000 that he is in this series. But like, I believe in the long stretch, like it'll even out and he will be the 62% free throw shooter that he is. And I'm fine with it. He just has to make those shots. It's just, I had an issue. Ben took 5 shots today. And I
think he only had 2 assists or something like that. Like
3. He didn't have the ball in his hands. It was Tobias. Ever since Embiid went out, it was Tobias the whole time. Tobias had 21 points on 8 of 24 shooting. And Ben just, maybe it's foul trouble. Maybe it's, without Embiid, Doc just would rather Tobias do it, but like unacceptable on Ben's part that he didn't just like go get the ball. Unacceptable on Doc's part that he didn't like allow Ben to be the distributor with space that he is, and allow him. Like I thought that was a really nice pass by Korkmaz to Simmons on the roll that Westbrook fouled him on. That it should have been a flagrant based on how they've been calling it all season. Whatever. But I mean, 5 shots is ridiculous. He was 4-5. Like he was looking good early on. He had a bunch of nice plays, and then they just like stopped. He just disappeared. And part of that's foul trouble, but part of that is Ben himself and Doc forgetting about like his need to score and do things. And
but I can't blame it on Doc. Ben touches the ball every play. Like he
didn't though. He didn't.
But he's the point guard. Like
I'm saying he wasn't. I'm saying this game
sure.
with 5 fouls over the course of the like midway through the third to the end of the fourth, he was not playing point guard. It was either Maxey or Tobias, and it was sometimes things happen. Like I thought the offense was horrendous. Like I thought the entire game the offense was horrendous.
Absolutely,
every single play that they scored on felt like a prayer. It felt like just a gutsy. And if they had won the game, then it would have been like, oh, what a nice, like that fluke bucket that like Maxey hit the like 30-footer with the shot clock expiring, or like weird like Danny Green plays that like kept the possession alive or hit a nice one. Like any of those plays would have been like, thank God we got that, because now we get like 4 or 5 whatever days off until the next series and we can escape. But now it just feels like you look at that and go like, they made a bunch of shots that they shouldn't have made and they still lost. Like it was just like a cluelessness that I have not seen from this team really all season. And it was really frustrating. And I do blame Doc. I do blame Ben. And I do blame Tobias. Sometimes you don't have it. Sometimes whatever. But like there was just like a lack of intelligence there. Like Dan Gafford blocked 100 shots tonight. Mm-hmm. And every single one was the same. It was them trying to like beat him up there. They didn't, not a single time did they pump fake with Dan Gafford in the area. And he's going to bite. He bite on anything. He's dying to bite. He just wants to keep blocking those shots. And they just keep going like, I bet you will not jump me this time. And he does, because he's a high jumper. But if you get him to bump once, you get him to bite, then that's free throws. And then he stops doing that. And then he starts overthinking it. But like they just kept empowering him without even trying to hesitate. And it was just like that level of cluelessness. It's very frustrating that no one on this team, aside from Joel, is good at drawing fouls. Like you could say Shake, but they never give him that call.
And he looked not great.
Yeah, I mean, better than he has in last game, but still not good.
I just think what it comes down to, and the overall just a bad game. I certainly don't want to overreact to. The only thing to overreact to is the Embiid thing. That's the only thing to overreact to. However, it's not an accident to me that Embiid goes out and their offense looks like a mess. Like the only time their offense looked good was when Maxey and Korkmaz were on. Like there's really the only times. Those are really the only times. And because like
I wouldn't say that it looked good then. I would just small quibble that they made shots sometimes, but I don't think that it ever looked like fluid, clean offense.
Sure. That's fair. That's fair. The only people doing anything offensively, I think.
That's fair.
It's gonna come down to the fact that like what Embiid does is that his presence in a lot of ways, along with everybody else, sort of makes everybody else's deficiencies make sense or okay. So the fact that Tobias is really just a good player, definitely a good player, but dribbles into 16 footers, which is not a 2021 NBA offense, right? Ben, who gets most of his points off transition, even though he's had good games this series, most of his offense has come, it feels like in the first 5 or 6 minutes of every game, and then it sort of fades off. And they're just sort of left with their secondary players creating most of the offense. I would agree with you. I want Harris to do more in a game like this, but it just sort of seems like without Embiid there, everyone's job just looks 10 times harder, without him on the court.
Totally. Yeah. I think that part of it doesn't matter, because if Embiid has X out for the playoffs injury, then just pack it up, go home. Mm-hmm. They might not beat the Hawks or the Knicks. I think they probably would still eventually win a game in this series and advance, but I don't think that they would beat the Hawks or the Knicks without Embiid. So whatever, but they do have to survive those minutes. And there's times in the game, there's 15 minutes. Like, I don't know. So part of it is I really want to not overreact. I want to so bad. And part of my sort of lungs getting cut off with this very tight ascot is maybe making it worse. But like, it would look like shit. And like, yeah, the refs were fucking awful and frustrating. And I would love to benefit from some like higher seated ref calls for once, for the love of God. But they played like shit. And like, there were good performances. Like there's some things you can take the good things from it, but just like not passing the ball well after the first quarter, surviving on like broken play type of, fluke threes. And the defense wasn't good. It wasn't good at all.
No,
I thought Tobias played really bad defense and ball watched and just looked pretty lost. Mike did his best and got his hands in there a couple times, but like he feels like he's always falling down and like ready to get dunked on. Dwight was miserable. I couldn't find any, always stuck between contesting drives, like limply, but then allowing O boards behind him and nobody rotating in and just generally being in the way. It was a really, really very deeply frustrating game. And I'm mad about it. I'm mad. They should have won this game. They should have, even without Embiid, they should beat the Wizards. They should have been able to be like, let's just like hunker down and win this game. And some guys showed up. I thought Danny played pretty well. I do think he's just like straight up overmatched on Brad Beal, but I thought he played well. I thought Seth was fine, but disappeared a little bit. I thought George Hill did his job, although it was also kind of even when he's scrambling, he still comes up with a very normal and efficient stat line. And Tobias did the thing. And I obviously blame Matisse for not taking those shots, but I blame Doc for not like forcing him to. Like Matisse isn't Ben. Like, you're not worried about like his ego or anything. It's just like, hey, if you're open, you need to take those shots. And we need to play you in these minutes. And for Doc to only play Matisse 16 minutes in a game when Embiid only played 12, that's malpractice. And it's malpractice because of Matisse's actions. Like, Matisse deserved like penalty for not doing the thing that he had to do, but it's also on Doc to get him to do that and then play him because he's vital to the team, because there were too many easy looks for the Wizards that Matisse would have prevented. And it's, I don't like this. I didn't like this game at all. I was upset. I'm upset now. I'm gonna tighten this a little bit more. Just get a little bit more girth. It's bad.
To me, the saddest part of the entire game was the fact that Ish Smith wants to D up Tobias Harris and is not worried about it in the fucking least.
Yeah.
Like, that is sad shit. Tobias Harris has had a great year and proved us wrong in a lot of ways. Tiny little Ish Smith, blocking him a couple of times and poking away steal and looking like he's enjoying it is pathetic shit. That's
totally
pathetic shit.
It was a pathetic showing for a 1 seed. And they're up 3-0. Yes, they're without Embiid, but you got to take care of business. Like, you just got to take care of business, and they didn't. And they got out toughed in this game. Like, the Wizards had 14 blocks, and I think that's like an undercount. It just sucked. Like, sometimes, like, Robin Lopez had 16 points. That's pretty crazy. That's probably not going to happen much. And Rui Hachimura is not a great 3-point shooter, although they leave him wide open all the time. Wide open Hachimura all the time, constantly. And just, we're slow to get to things. They turn the intensity up a little bit late. I have other notes, but I don't really give a fuck. I will award the Danny of the game to. It could have been Matisse, but that was more mad. I was more upset at that point that he didn't take that shot. So I'm going to give it to Danny Green and George Hill when they were both. There was a floorboard that both of them were about to get, and they were converging on it from opposite sides around the foul line, and both thought that the other was going to get it, and then they both peeled off, and then the ball just kind of sat there, and then the Wizards got it, and it was just, that's an ultimate Danny play. That George Hill gets to take part in. But I'm angry. Spike, I'm angry. I'm angry. It's a playoff game. I'm choking myself. It was a bad time. I had a bad time.
Boy, if this isn't proof that you should be watching the pod instead of listening to the pod to watch you choke yourself, let me ask you this. It's 4.5 minutes left in a close game against a real team, assuming the Sixers get by the Wizards. 4.5 minutes left in a close game. Obviously, they can't intentionally foul anyone with 2 minutes left. They start fouling Ben. Do you just pull him out for 2.5 minutes and put him back in when 2 minutes left comes back and just not fuck around with this?
I don't think that him splitting a pair in crunch time of a playoff game is bad.
Splitting every pair is bad.
I don't think so. According to this is in Predict.
What's that?
It's let me explain you the math on it. I could get there. I could really get to you. But the numbers say that Ben would need to be a 47% free throw shooter to break even, and Simmons is 61% lifetime. Obviously, he was better earlier in the season, has been way worse the last 2 months or so, 3 months. But I think at that point in the game, in that crunch time level, and the fact that it prevents fast breaks, which is the Sixers' weakness, and allows them to defend in the half court, I think I'm fine with it. I would rather him just hit 2 free throws and make them go like, well, we can't do this. We can't just give them points. And he needs to. Like, he must work on his free throws, if only just for the mentality of it. but that is not something like they need him on defense so bad, and they need him pushing the pace in transition to get easy buckets there. And Doc needs to realize that he needs to have the ball in his hands a lot more than he did this game. So I wouldn't take him out. Maybe in like a one play situation, I could see an argument for it, but I just think he does so many things like when the ball and like weird in between moments, just like get slapbacks and get like loose balls and dives and protects the rim and transition, all that stuff.
It's just such like an energy suck.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But I think on the counter of that, if you're a team that, the Sixers they were playing poorly on offense, especially outside of that like early fourth quarter run that they had with whether that was like Korkmaz or Maxey. When they started fouling, I was like, the alternative is Tobias going ISO and putting his head down and forcing his way into the paint again. And I didn't like that this game. He didn't have it, and they kept doing it. And so I was fine allowing that to happen. And so I think you say it's an energy suck. I think if Ben hits 2 in a row, that's an energy suck for the other team. I mean, like we just gifted them 2 points just doing anything. So he just has to hit free throws. He has to hit some free throws. If he shot 62% from free throws in this series, everyone would be like, that's fine. We're fine with that. We're fine with that for now.
He hasn't shot 62% in a while, though.
I know.
I know.
Speaking of your anti-boy, Luka is like shooting like 46% from the line this series, which is very bizarre. Yeah. Sometimes it's weird. Sometimes weird stuff happens, but to go 0 for 10 from the line at the start of a series is beyond weird. That is not ideal.
Maybe Luka should hop on a treadmill in the offseason, wouldn't be tired in the playoffs and choking from the line. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. My wife and I are looking for a house in North Jersey as I move to work in New York. And every time we look at a house with one more bedroom than we have now, we talk about giving Rebel his own bedroom, which would be the fucking most loony thing in the whole world. But we'd put the Big Barker in his bedroom, also a Big Barker in our bedroom. He only sleeps on the best. BigBarker.com/Ricky. Get your dog a real dog bed. You think you love your dog? You can't have him sleeping on a piece of crap. A bed not engineered by experts to prevent, arthritis issues as the dog gets older. Don't get your dog a piece of shit. Get him a Big Barker. They even went to Penn Vet. They did a study. It works. It's real. 17% showed improvement in joint function. 21% showed a reduction in pain severity. BigBarker.com/Ricky. Is it more expensive? Yes. Is it worth it? Every penny. 10-year warranty. The foam doesn't flatten or they replace it for free. 1 year at-home trial. If you try it for full year, dog doesn't like it, you don't like it, get a full refund. They'll even pay for the shipping. Handmade in the USA. Big Barker Dog Beds. You got any other notes before we get to questions? Any other particular notes before we get to questions and the rest of the playoffs?
I deleted most of my notes in frustration. I think, they shot really badly, and it felt like the shots that went in were like prayers. And so that, I would say even their offense was inflated for me because it seemed like they didn't deserve as much as they got. Am I concerned if Embiid comes back and plays game 5? No, not at all. But this sucked, and I had a bad time, and I am losing air by the second, and so I want everyone to know that I had a bad time.
I was so excited to not have another game for a few days, to be quite honest with you. I was like, there's something about being the 1 seed and sweeping the first round that you're like, we're just going to sit back and watch everybody else play for a little bit. Yeah. And we didn't fucking get it.
That Maxey block on Westbrook
was great.
Went off on Westbrook was awesome.
It was incredible.
That was dope.
Westbrook fucking sucks. That guy sucks. He sucks. He sucks.
He didn't play bad tonight for him. I mean, like, over the course of the series, like he still got to the line. He can't shoot, but he gets to the line. He was 3 of 19 from the field and 12 of 14 from the line. Wild. What a wild guy.
He shoots those bank shots. Like he shoots he is the guy in the. Everybody posts that video of the fat guy shooting jumpers where they're going like off the top of the backboard. He's shooting real confidently. You've seen that. I think it's a GIF that everybody posts. He shoots the bank jumper from 15 so confidently. A lot of times it just hits the backboard, not even the rim. his lack of awareness is almost admirable
Yep.
of how bad of a shooter he is.
But they get easy buckets. I mean, like such a weird stat line: 18 points, 20 rebounds, 14 assists, 3 of 19 from the field, 0 of 4 from 3, 12 of 14 from the line, 5 personal fouls. Can you guess his plus minus?
So the Wizards won by 5, right? Okay,
0.
good. Oh, there you go.
All those numbers, all that weird shit, and he ends up with breaking even.
Mike,
that just seems against the rules. There's too many weird numbers in there for them to be like, nah, that just doesn't count.
The Twitch and YouTube comments about your scarf are just
I felt a way to like put it on this side, which having them on separate sides was interesting, but I like it better on this side. It feels more European that way.
From Just Chill 76, am I crazy or does Mike look like Rizzo from Greece?
That's right. That's good. I'm good with that. I'm happy with that.
So
this
good.
is the Sixers' fault. Like, this is what they make me do. This is playoff kerchief, and it is bad. And I didn't think the headband was good, but this is worse.
Yeah, it's something. Why don't we take some questions from YouTube and Twitch? Remember, you don't need to donate to get your question on, but if you donate, we'll definitely put your shit up on the screen. And at the end of the playoffs, we'll donate it all to Providence Animal Center and Coded by Kids. We raised $100 the last one. We want to do $250 this time. The YouTube and Twitch and Twitter questions are brought to you by Stateside Vodka, the official sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter. How about these fucking things? The vodka sodas. Absolutely amazing. 4 different flavors. You can get the variety pack at statesidevodka.com. Real juice, no added sugar, no artificial sweeteners, nothing, no gluten, and it's awesome. Must be 21 to drink. Please drink responsibly. Statesidevodka.com. All right, CJ. How's the bed's looking made? Love it?
Bed is made, yeah.
Love it.
It was a sad make today. But Jack wants to know, why does every ref have a personal vendetta against Shake?
It does seem like he gets fewer calls than like anybody, but it also seems like he whines about them as much as anybody. I don't know. I think it's maybe one of those things where he just hasn't earned them yet. Do you have a theory, Mike?
Yeah, that's part of it. I also think like it's the playoffs. And he's getting them even less now. He moves pretty slowly and deliberately. So maybe they don't like, if he was faster, it's not like Maxey's getting that many calls either, but like going full speed and then getting bumped off your spot and like sliding into the photographers in the front row is like a visual manifestation. Like, oh, that's a foul. That's what happens when a guy gets fouled. Whereas Shake just sort of like flails a little bit and tries to draw the contact. But yeah, I mean, Joe gets a lot of the fouls that Shake is not getting.
I think, obviously Shake is young and has room to grow. And I still, MOC wrote, earlier this week or last week, the weeks all blend together, but about still believing him. I still believe in him. I do think him working with somebody in the off season about that sort of thing, getting fouled, like sort of spatial awareness about where everybody is, because he's a good shot maker. He really is. It seems like he's playing his own game sometimes, and everybody else on the court is sort of like incidental into what he's doing. And if he just had a better awareness of where he is compared to his teammates, and especially compared to the opponent, a lot of really good guys that draw fouls as perimeter players know that they're going to get that foul call seconds before it happens, and he doesn't. It does seem like it's like sort of a last second thing when he gets hit, and I think that's part of it too, because it's harder to sell.
Yeah, so. I mean, this could have been a Shake game because especially with that Embiid and with Simmons in foul trouble, it becomes not many guys that can dribble and get to places, especially with Tobias struggling as much as he was, and he really was. Like I haven't seen Tobias look that lost since last year. It was bad. That was bad. Real bad. And I wanted Seth to carry them. I wanted more like, let's run offense for Seth because they're running at him. They're really scared of his shot. He can get to the rim. He's a good passer. But it seemed like it just became the stand around and let Tobias do his thing. And Shake just wasn't good enough.
Before we get to the next question, what do you think about the people saying that CJ might be the Tommy Alter of the
I think he
Ricky?
is. I think we finally found him. I think he absolutely is. He's got a. I can't see what his hat says. So I'm just imagine just like a nondescript black hat, which is like a Tommy move. I think. It's great. It's great. You have to be inexplicably rich for really no reason at all, and then we'll dub you officially. But you're on your way.
I'm not there yet, but yeah,
Getting there.
I'm trying. Matt Hoover asks if the Sixers advance to the second round and or the conference finals, will Doc tighten his rotations, or is this how it's going to be?
I think this is how it's going to be.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's insane. Every other team, the Sixers went with when Mike came in. It's a 12-man rotation.
It's insane.
Wait, I think it's 13. 5, 10, 13. A 13-man rotation. No, wait. Doing quick math on the fly. No, it's 12.
Okay. Let me ask you then. It's one of two things. Is it this is just how Doc is, or to quote Mike Lombardi always says this thing that it talks about like diner menu rosters, where like if you have lots of guys, it means you don't have enough good guys. Is it just sort of because the Sixers bench is so iffy that he plays so many guys just because he doesn't know who's going to be good? Or is this a Doc issue?
I think it's a tryout to see who's hot so he can play them the fourth quarter minutes. And he likes to have them on hand. He likes to keep them fresh, especially in a first round series. I see the value in that. But at a certain point, it's gotta you cannot go all bench lineup in a series that is close. And it still feels that way, especially when there's just like some of their skills are like overlapping. You want some guys to be able to hit shots, and Korkmaz hit a couple big ones, and that was nice. But you got to just like at a certain point, you got to just pick who your guys are, empower them, and tell everybody else like if somebody gets injured or it's really struggling, you're coming in. And so I think George Hill and Matisse Thybulle are automatic. I think Maxey has worked his way into automatic just because of the element that he brings that very few, if any, people on this team do. And then I would say Dwight or Mike Scott, depending on the matchup. I would say Shake or Korkmaz, depending on the matchup and if anybody's struggling. But those it's going to have to whittle down. And so you can let guys like, I don't know. I have to ask like these kinds of ninth man types, like, hey, when you don't know if you're coming in or how long you're going to be in there and you're in for like a 3-minute stint, how tough is it to feel like you can get your feet under you? It's got to be hard to get into a rhythm when you're, because the playoffs have a quick hook, but Doc is quick hooking with like everybody. It's like he's having, 9 relievers in like 3 innings. Like everybody gets one batter and just really working through everybody. And it's just, I don't know. Because I like a lot of these guys. I do think they can add value and help the team in a particular situation. But it feels like it's he's not setting them up to succeed enough by letting them play with as the second or third or fourth option in the game when he gets to play with the starters more. But maybe it's a first round thing. Maybe it's a work everybody back into it thing. I don't know. But this series should have been 4 games. And I think Doc's decision making is a part of why it didn't.
I still can't believe he took Maxey out. I'm never this guy. I'm not the coach guy, but I can't believe he took Maxey out.
Yeah. There's just a bunch of guys. I mean, Maxey had a couple bad takes and forcing it up, and hopefully later in his career he gets fouled on those takes or they give him those fouls, whatever it is. But there seems like there were so many guys that were driving at the rim and just kind of throwing up like a over the head little flip shot that if it goes in, then wow, what a play. But it just doesn't seem like at any point tonight they were setting themselves up to succeed and like really take it to them and hit them in the mouth. It just seemed like they were on their heels the whole time.
What do you got next, CJ?
Mike touched on this a little bit, but Becca Frame and the Tall Boys ask very aggressively, did Korkmaz earn more of a bench role after tonight's game?
I don't think he was ever out of the rotation. I think it just goes to what Mike just talked about.
Yeah.
So I think he'll play more in the next game because he played well.
Had a nice defensive play, got his hands on a ball there. That was a big swing. And then a good offensive rebound where he had the finger roll and one. God, by eye test, Korkmaz is the worst free throw shooter I've ever seen. He just always missing foul shots. Has never made 2 in a row. It's really impressive.
Did hit the floater tonight. Hit the floater,
which was a tough and necessary shot. Every shot was very necessary at that point in the game. But yeah, I mean, he's a good shooter and he creates gravity. And I think I get the impression. I don't know. What do you think? I think the guys that defenses run at the most are Seth and Korkmaz. Even though Danny's had a good year and has been hot lately,
run at them like that.
They don't seem to run at him like that.
Yep.
Maybe it's because of like his high profile struggles in the bubble last year, or the fact that he elevates on his jumper so much anyway that they're not going to maybe affect it. I don't know. But it doesn't seem like there's an oh shit level when Danny has an open three in the way that Korkmaz and Curry get.
I completely agree. Completely agree. They are the panic guys that they run at. I completely, and Furk is hard to do anything about because he's such a high release and he shoots it so quickly, but they definitely do it.
Yeah.
Take a couple more. CJ.
Yeah, let's go to Mike M21 on Twitch, who parting question. Why not play B-Ball Paul over Mike Scott?
Yes, I did create a Twitch account during the podcast and ask myself a question. I would love the idea that they could play B-Ball Paul because he could add stuff to it. I just think there is even more untrustworthiness than Mike Scott, and Doc's just not going to do it. It's just not a thing that he's going to do at any point. Maybe if Embiid is out for the rest of the playoffs, Doc tries it. If one of Dwight or Mike gets really outplayed, he just goes like, fuck it, let's give it a shot. But I think if that happens, then we're already fucked.
There's a bunch of people in the comments who have asked us. We obviously can't listen to the press conference as we're doing this. I guess Doc is doing the thing where he berates reporters for asking about Ben Simmons and potentially taking him off the court. I get why Doc's doing it.
Whatever he has to do.
Yeah. I do hate the, if you're asking this question, you don't know ball from the coach to the reporter, but whatever he's got to do to get through the year, nothing has anything to do with what Doc Rivers actually thinks, right? This is what he's got to do. He's got to defend his player. I don't think attacking the reporters is the right way to do it, but whatever he's got to do
seems a lot less bad than how Girardi is handling it though.
Girardi's not doing great either with those sorts of things. I totally agree. What else we got?
Yeah, I can read one quote from Doc. That's I confirmed Bonner tweeted out, but we got someone in the chat quoting it. Doc says, "With Ben, we're going to keep him on the floor unless you guys want us to bench him the whole game. If anybody wants us to do that, just let me know, and then I'll know that you don't know basketball."
This is obviously an exaggeration. No one's saying bench him for the whole game.
Yeah.
I don't think you should bench him at any point. I think you should have him the ball in his hands and empower him to go to the basket and force them to double him and find shooters in the perimeter and stuff. But it's a reasonable question to ask. I don't think it's an unreasonable question to ask to say like, hey, late in the game, you need points. They're going to foul a bad foul shooter. Would you consider taking him out? I don't think it's a bad question to ask. I wouldn't do it, but I think it's an absolutely reasonable question to ask.
Unless if there's one more good one, we can take it. If not, I just want to rip around the other playoffs real quick. I wanted to talk about Atlanta tonight. It just doesn't feel like the right thing to do yet.
No. More comments in the chat than anything.
Okay, cool. Thank you, CJ. Good job making the bed.
Thank you.
So other playoff stuff, Anthony Davis hurt again. Would be nice to talk about him being the injury prone one, but can't do that tonight. No. The Suns can definitely win the series if he does not play in the next game. Absolutely can win the series.
I think they'll win the series even if he does play in the next game. But especially if Chris Paul stays healthy. I didn't watch any of the games yesterday. I was at Disneyland for Alyssa's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Alyssa!
It's next week, but we got in there before they expanded capacity to 100 people, so 100%. So that was nicely done on our part. I wanted to ask you, about the fan that stormed the court and got tackled. Calling it storming the court is honestly an exaggeration. He sort of like skipped onto the court and sort of danced around and wanted to see if he could hit backboard, which is a very odd time to do it. But I did think if I wasn't as pissed off about how the game was going, I would have found more delightful than I did at the time.
So my biggest concern about all these things, like, and then there's the guy that threw the bottle at Kyrie. Shocker, was wearing a Celtics jersey with no t-shirt out of the arena. The guy that stormed the court, I did tweet this, and it is true. I was terrified that he was wearing a Rights Ricky Sanchez t-shirt.
Yeah, that would have been bad.
It would have been terrible.
That would have been bad luck.
The worst that what I want to do, obviously there's nobody listening to this podcast who would do anything like that. It is funny to see. The problem is the players on the court don't know that you're not a fucking maniac.
Oh yeah, of course.
That's
scary as hell. I only saw it as he got tackled, so my alarm bell was not.
It was a great tackle.
It was a nice tackle.
Yeah, it was a great.
Wrapped both arms around the legs, drew him down from the legs. You can't let him step out of that. That's how you tackled Derrick Henry. And yeah, it's alarming in the context of like it feels like it keeps happening from so many. It seems like all the places are in the Northeast.
Popcorn guy, water bottle guy,
spit guy,
yeah,
storm the court guy, and it's just like I think. Look, it's especially for players like absolutely scary, and you don't want to do this because you are, ever since Malice at the Palace, like. They're just telling you over and over again, like, don't hit back, don't touch them, don't there's so much adherence to the fans and allowing them to be like untouchable. And the most that they get is like, the guy in Boston is getting prosecuted or whatever, but most of them are just getting banned from the arena. But it's scary, but also it's like, it's like 6 people out of like 100,000 or something like that, that have been at the games, and it's a lot. It's more than you want it to be, but it's not like it's just like if you have enough people in any place, some fucking assholes are going to act out, and especially after a long time of not being able to be at the games. Everyone, the assholes are more easily acting out.
Yeah, I think that is. I think there is pent up stuff. None of this is obviously 100%. Can't fucking happen. Yeah. They should prosecute every single one of them. One thing that the arena's got to do is like maybe the arenas just need more security standing around there to stop that shit from happening. Might be the answer.
Yeah. I like more separation, I guess.
Yeah.
But more like I think the Mavericks have it where there's like the first bunch of rows are just like tarped out. That you just can't sit there. And I know they want to sell those seats, but like it's a lot of, even I was watching Trae Young at the Garden and I'm just like, I'm scared for him. Like he's a little guy and I know he's a pro, but like, there's a lot of people just like saying horrible things and they're allowed to say horrible things. That's part of fun of being a home crowd. And I would want them to do the similar things if we play Trae Young, but I feel scary for him that he's like, I'm looking at him. It's like, that guy's like my size, and the whole stadium is just like fucking shitting on him, and it is scary. And if I were them, I would definitely want a little bit more space between the action and the fans. Now during COVID and always kind of.
The bummer about the Trae Young thing is that he did the right thing. Like they did the right thing taunting him, then he did the right thing leaning into it. Like this is all the coolest shit. Like this is the coolest shit about a player and against a visiting crowd. Like I want it to be exactly like it was with Trae Young. I don't want them to spit on him. Like I don't want one guy to fuck it up for everyone.
And that's especially a fucked up thing to do in a panel.
Oh, it's just like, so disrespectful.
It's disrespectful all the time. You should never do it. But for it to be he's probably vaccinated and it's probably fine. He's not like he's spitting into his mouth and nose cavity, whatever. But like just the optics of doing that, you really have to be such a massive asshole to do that.
Right.
To be like, this is the thing I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. I'm out of my house for the first time in a year and a half, and I'm going to spit on somebody while they're doing their job. Just like, come on.
So, Hawks look like I don't want to do a Hawks preview thing, but that series looks just about over. Thibs is like fat Doug Collins, like ultimate floor raiser.
For sure.
I'm stunned that the Clippers have it at 2-2.
So
I'm just absolutely stunned.
So am I. Gotta hand it to him. And Kawhi looks a lot better
Mhm.
than he did in the most of the season. He's always been good on defense and has those hands, but he looked like he really did have a lot more lead in his feet than he had previous years. But he looks good, and Paul George making shots and all those guys. And then if Luka's hurt for they say he looks better, but if he's out, then or not even out, just not 100%, they're gonna lose that series. And Porzingis sucks. I tweeted this, but like genuinely, you look back at that draft, had the Sixers had Porzingis and then paid him a bunch of money because he's like does good things, but then you have to have this Porzingis on your team. I would rather have a 0 in Okafor. I'd rather be like, we don't have to worry about it. Like, oh, he's gone. He sucked. He's gone. Than having to give a bunch of money to a guy who isn't worth his contract at all. He's a liability.
But at least they got something for him. Like
the
he
Knicks?
wasn't. Yeah, I mean, he wasn't
Oh, of
drafted
course.
for that.
I'm saying in a world where he played here and he's great, and they want to give him a contract, and they decide like the fans love him, and he's part of this homegrown culture, and so let's give him we're not going to give him the full max, but like max what Tobias got basically. And what Tobias was looking like last year, although Tobias was never as much of a liability. Like Tobias never getting played off the floor because he always could shoot. He doesn't do it enough. And he always could at least be a defending body out there. And Porzingis can't. Like they can put anybody on him and he's not going to post him up. If he does, he's going to take fadeaways and not be that good at him. And he can't defend anybody in space. Not anyone. And I'm glad that he's not on our team.
Well, we got another game this series. We thought we were going to get out of it in 4, but it's always fucking weird and it's never easy. So we'll talk to you Wednesday night. Like, look, even I crossing my fingers on Embiid, but even if he doesn't play, you got to end the series on Wednesday. Even if he doesn't play, you got to end the series on Wednesday.
That's true. That's absolutely true. And even if he's even partially not well, I would err on the side of holding him out and going guys, we're not going to have Joel. You need to take care of business at home against the fucking Wizards. Like you have to. Matisse, you have to take these shots. Mike, you have to make anything. Dwight, be less of a dick all the time. Although I did like Dwight kind of just standing next to the guy that got tackled and being like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what are you doing, man? He's like a little guy.
You've done something dumb when Dwight.
Yes, you really do. Really do. I want to. Good reminder from Chuck McLaughlin on Twitter. These playoffs only count if we win.
Yes.
I would never wear this ascot in a situation that counted. So clearly, this game didn't count. I really hope Joel's healthy. It would suck for him. It would suck for us. It would suck for the rest of the team. But I was mad tonight. It was a mad game.
Wait, there's one more comment that I had to read about the ascot because it was apt considering Alyssa's new job. Somebody mentioned you look like what's her face from Scooby-Doo.
Daphne Velma?
Yeah. The one that wore the ascot. One of them wore an ascot.
Which one does wear the ascot? Well, Fred wears the ascot.
You're right. It is Fred that wears the ascot. Then I'm wrong.
Let's see, Scooby-Doo cast. I'm gonna if I look too much like that, I might pitch myself to be the voice.
I'm thinking I never saw any of the live action stuff. I was talking about the actual cartoon.
Yeah. Fred wears the ascot, and also so does Daphne. Daphne's is more of a scarf. Fred's is a little bit more of like a hoity-toity ascot. So yeah, I guess in the white too, I look like Fred. I really hope Embiid's healthy. I would be very upset. That would be a really shitty way to end this season to go through all this.
Be literally the worst way to end the season. Honestly,
it'd be bad.
Yeah,
it'd be bad.
Oh, there we go. Mike looks like he's about to jump in the mystery machine and solve it.
That's right. And this is me sponsoring and endorsing Alyssa's new job as a staff writer on Velma. So at least that some good came out of this.
All right. We'll see you on Wednesday night. Are you down with TTP?
Yeah, lick face.